I am a college dropout. Now, just saying I'm a college dropout, that statement holds a lot of weight. There's a stigma about it. There's a stigma of, being a failure. Just being a failure, especially amongst older people. A lot of older people don't really understand that there are like 18, 19, 20-year olds making in a month what they'll make in a year. So, a lot of older people are kind of, I don't want to use the term ignorant, but that's kind of the best way I could describe it. A lot of them just don't understand. That's why I don't really try to justify my decision anymore. I just tell my story. But, if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you probably have a feel for my opinion on school. And, I feel like I might have led you on a little bit. I don't hate school. I just think that college is really only necessary in certain conditions. Like if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or something along those lines, go to college. Like you obviously have to go to college to do those things. But, if you know that you don't want to go to college, don't go. Okay, you're wasting your time and your money. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get into the story. So growing up, I hated school. Okay, like I always hated school. This isn't something that, was gradual. It was like as far back as I can remember. In fact, I remember my mom used to have to bribe me every single morning to go to school. And that was preschool. So you can only imagine that as I got older, it just got worse and worse and worse. I hated everything about it. I hated the fact that I had to wake up early in the morning to go to school and just be in this place where we have one meal a day. We can't talk when we want to. We can't laugh, we can't do anything. They're just controlling us 24/7. I hated that so much. And I feel like, a lot of kids, like a lot of young kids hate school. But it's like I never really outgrew that. That feeling stuck with me as I got older and really intensified, if anything. Now, despite the fact that I hated school, I still got very high grades. And honestly, it was just natural. Like naturally, I don't want to just say I'm like the smartest person out there, but I just found school to be easy. And I didn't really take like challenging courses. I just took like the basic classes and got like high A's, like 95 and up in those classes. And so as a result, I had a really good GPA. But even, despite the fact that I had high grades, I never really did extracurriculars all the way until about like sophomore year of high school. And I'm gonna get into that as the story goes on. But basically, if I didn't have to be at school, I wasn't there. Like I wasn't going for any of that extra stuff. I remember in high school, whenever they'd have pep rallies for the football team, we'd have the option of going to the pep rally or leaving early. I was out of there every time. I was gone. I didn't do sports. I wasn't in any clubs. Like, I didn't want any part of that. I didn't go to school dances after like maybe 7th grade. I never went to a school dance. Didn't go to prom. Didn't go to homecoming. Any of that stuff. I just didn't care about any of that. I just didn't like school, period. Now, in addition to that, I also had no interest in college. I feel like there are some kids who like always have this dream of going to college, going to the Ivy League, going to Harvard, going to Yale, getting their degree, getting a good job. Like, I feel like some kids really dream about that, or at least dream of like the college experience, being in the dorm, having your roommates and going out, getting drunk, parties, and, all that type of stuff. None of that stuff ever appealed to me at all. No aspect of college really seemed fun to me, except maybe the girls. That was probably the only thing that ever appealed to me at all. And it's like, I don't have to be in school at that college to go get the girls there. I could just go to the campus. So it's like, there's no reason for me to really go to college. So growing up, I wasn't thinking about college. And as a result of that, I lacked direction. I lacked purpose. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I didn't know what career path I wanted to be in. I just had no direction. It's like I was living life on a day-to-day basis, which that's not a bad thing. That's really not a bad thing, especially as a kid. But I felt this external pressure from school, from like my high school, my middle school. It's like they wanted you to start thinking about college at like 13 years old. And it's like, yo, like, chill. Like, I'm trying to finish middle school right now. And honestly, I blame the school system. I blame the school system for me not having that direction in life. And the reason why is because they don't really market or promote the idea of entrepreneurship, especially with the internet. They don't promote the idea of entrepreneurship to the students. Everything is college, 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 college. And, all they do is bring up statistics of, okay, this is what college graduates are making. This is what, people who don't go to college are making. And it's like, there's context behind these statistics, and they're not taking that into account. And, going through the hallways of my high school, it's like they have all of this, like, I don't want to call it propaganda, but it's like a lot of like gear. Like they have gear. So like they'll have like little flags and like pictures and stuff from all these different colleges. And it's like when you walk the hallways every day, those same hallways, it kind of just like gets ingrained into your mind. It's like, okay, college, 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 college. So it's like I began to see college as the only viable option because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know about e-commerce. I didn't know about trading stocks. I didn't know about any of that stuff. So I would say that I began to kind of look into college around sophomore year. Now, I feel like that put me behind a lot of people because freshman year, there were definitely people like thinking about the colleges that they wanted to go to. But, in freshman year, I didn't even know like what a GPA was. I didn't know about class rank. Like I didn't know about any of that. And I'm not going to say that they didn't tell us about that. I probably just wasn't paying attention because I didn't care. But like, sophomore year, that was when I kind of started to realize, okay, I probably need to do some extracurriculars. I probably need to start like taking some advanced classes, and pushing myself a little bit to ensure that I can get into a good college. Because I felt like if I didn't get into a good college, I would be a failure. I cared a lot about what others thought of me. And, that's a mentality that never really got me anywhere in life, but I can make a whole separate video about that. But sophomore year, I joined a club. It was called Avid Club. And basically, it was a club dedicated to teaching you more about college. And, they'd have us like do research on colleges that we might want to go to and all that type of stuff. And I could see like that club would be very beneficial for somebody who knew they wanted to go to college. But like, I didn't, And so I didn't really take anything away from that club. I would just go there like once a week during lunch, so that I could, fulfill my obligations of having extracurricular activities and have something to put on a college resume or college application. I think at this time I was also taking like AP English. That was the only AP class I was taking at the time. And I took AP English from like freshman year. I just liked English. I don't know. That was like the one subject that I felt I was like naturally gifted at. And I feel like that kind of shows now with a lot of like my poetry and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, fast forward to junior year. Junior year is when I went all in, okay? I went balls out. I think I finished sophomore year at around 145. My class rank was like 145 out of like 1100. 145 out of 1100. So, I was pretty up there, but I still had some work to do. I had some catching up to do. Now, honestly, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I think if I had like really focused on my class rank from the beginning of freshman year, like some people did, like if I had known about class rank, I definitely could have finished top 50 in my class. I have no doubt about that. But anyways, junior year, I decided to take pre-AP Algebra 2, which, some people were taking pre-cal at the time. I wasn't doing all of that, but I took pre-AP Algebra 2 just for the sake of boosting my GPA. Because if you don't know, like I don't know if y'all's school does this, but at my school, we had weighted GPA and unweighted GPA. So unweighted GPA is like, it doesn't take the course difficulty into account. So I had a 4.0, like all throughout high school, unweighted. But when it came to weighted, it was like, I think like on a 5 scale, like 5.0 scale. So, it takes into account how difficult your classes are. So if I'm taking all regular classes, I could get 100 in every class. And there would still be people above me because they were taking advanced classes. So I was like, okay, I need to take pre-AP Algebra 2, I need to take AP English, and I also took like an SAT prep course so I could optimize my SAT score. So junior year was kind of like that transition point when I really started to like take it seriously and focus on getting into like a really good school. And I did a lot of research that year on like the schools that I might want to attend, and I ended up settling on UT Austin. I decided that UT Austin would be the best school that I could get into. It would be in, a good city. I like the city of Austin. And, in Texas, it's probably like the second best school behind Rice University. So, junior year, it sucked. Like, it sucked, man. So bad. It sucked. But I pushed through it. I don't know what I finished in with class rank at the end of junior year, but I know that I had enough credits to where I could graduate early. In the state of Texas, you need 26 credits to graduate high school. And I realized that I had the choice between either having like first period off or fourth period off, which basically means like you can either come to school late or leave school early, or I could go for the full school day, but I could graduate a semester early. Now, based on everything I've told you guys about how much I hated school, I think you guys know what I picked. So I chose to graduate early. Senior year was a pretty easy, chill year, and I kept rising up in class rank, and I got to the point where I got accepted into UT Austin. And to get into UT Austin, automatic admission. I probably would have made it regardless, but to get into UT Austin automatic admission, you needed to be top 7% in your class. And I think it was like my last transcript that I broke top 7% and got automatic admission. And so I was hype, I was happy. So when I graduated high school, I graduated with the intention of going to UT Austin. I think I had already like chosen to enroll, or like however that process goes. I forgot, it was so long ago, but I chose to enroll in UT Austin. And I had taken my SAT junior year. I think I got like a 1330 out of 1600, which is good. That's good. But it was like just under the baseline for a lot of scholarships. I think you needed like a 1350 to get like more scholarships, and I didn't retake it because I just didn't want to. I just did not want to retake the test. I didn't want to do anything related to school if I didn't have to. So if I had went to UT Austin, I was going to be paying like $25,000 a year, or I think I had like $1,000 scholarship, and then I could pull the rest out on loans. But I was going to have to pay that $100,000 back at some point. So even if I got a really good job after graduating from UT Austin, it wouldn't matter because I'd be paying six figures in debt. Now, this was always on the back of my mind, just having to pay off that debt. It didn't sit well with me at all. I didn't like the idea of doing that. I didn't like the idea of having to pay to go to school, especially since I hated school. Why would I pay to do something that I hated? Also, another thing, when I graduated from high school, I still didn't know what I wanted to major in. I knew I wanted to go to UT Austin, or at least I thought I did, but I didn't know what I wanted to major in. So, having that 6 months, initially I was thinking, okay, I'm going to use this extra time to figure out what I actually want to major in. However, over the course of that summer, my entire paradigm changed. I went from choosing a major to learning more about entrepreneurship. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just came across all of this content about entrepreneurship, and it's like a whole new world just opened up to me. And I talked about that in my Why I'll Never Work a 9-to-5 video if you want to check that out. But basically, at that point, I realized, this is what I want to do. I don't want to go to college. But, I didn't have the courage to tell my parents that I didn't want to go to college. So what I decided to do instead was I unenrolled from UT Austin. And by this point, I had already taken my campus tour and everything. Like, I was set on going there. So I decided to unenroll there and sign up for community college instead. So, I was thinking, okay, I know I'm probably going to drop out. And I didn't tell anybody this, but I knew I was probably going to drop out. So I figured, you know what? If I'm going to drop out, I'd rather be paying like $1,000 than like $25,000. It just wouldn't make sense to go to UT if I knew I was going to drop out. And it didn't really make sense to go to community college either, but I still went. I still gave it a chance at least. So at least I know for sure that I don't like college. But, while I was in community college, I was visiting the guidance counselors like every week, trying to like decide on a major. And I switched my major like 6 times, and I was only there for like 1 semester. Like, it was bad. I could not decide on a major, because in the back of my mind, I knew I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in college, which also meant I didn't want to work a 9-to-5. I knew I wanted to be my own boss, and I kept trying to figure out ways to do that, with college, but I couldn't figure a way out. It just didn't make sense to me to be there. And I remember I eventually got to the point where one night I was sitting there doing homework. I think it was for business math. And I was doing my homework, and it was like probably 3 in the morning. I was pulling an all-nighter to get this stuff done. And I thought to myself, man, what if I put this much effort into starting my own business? Right there, I think that was the moment that I really decided, okay, I need to get up out of college. Now, at the end of that semester, I remember I already had my courses lined up for the next semester. As soon as I finished taking my last exam, or like submitting my last test or whatever, I dropped out. I dropped all my classes for the next semester. And I went and told my parents, hey, I just dropped all of my classes. And, I thought they were going to trip about it, but they were like, okay, just, decide what you're going to do. And I remember I told them, this is going to be like a gap semester for me, where I'm just going to take some time to decide on my major. No, it was never that. I knew when I dropped out that I was never going back. And I feel like I led people on to believe that even in my first dropout video, but I knew in my heart I was never going back to college. It just wasn't even an option for me. Now, when I dropped out, I basically had 3 options. There were 3 things that I had spent those 6 months between high school and college really studying. And those were drop shipping, e-commerce, like all Amazon FBA, basically all of that type of stuff, and I saw the money that could be made in it, but I just didn't really have a passion for it, So the next option was trading stocks, and that was something that I had actually started doing throughout my time in college. And I'd like make $100 here, lose $100 here. I think I ended up pretty much breaking even on stocks. So stocks was like, it was cool, and I spent a lot of time researching it, but it still wasn't something that I was passionate about. Now, at the time, I wasn't really thinking YouTube, I was thinking blogging, because I knew that I was a good writer, and I didn't think I could be on camera. So I remember I tried starting up my own blog, and it wasn't flowing. It just didn't feel right to me at the time. That's something I still might do in the future, but it just didn't feel right to me. So, I decided to make a video explaining why I had dropped out of college. And, I filmed the video on my phone, I edited the video on my phone, and I posted it. And the feeling that gave me of posting that video and like seeing myself on camera, talking about just speaking my truth, basically. Just speaking my truth. That was like a light bulb just went off in my head. I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. And at the time I had like maybe 75 subscribers. And I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. And, I started to post weekly videos, and I just never really stopped. And at a certain point, I began investing money into equipment, to improve my content. And now fast forward about a year and a few months later, and I'm making money doing YouTube, doing the thing that I love to do.